Hi, I'm Liam Gibbons and welcome to my very first video. Today I'd like to talk about using paths in the Skyline Game Engine. Now it's very simple to use, as I'll show you. And what we're going to create is a path, and we're going to create a camera, link it to the path, and this is a great way to do cutscenes or fly-throughs of your scene. You can also use the path to create patrols for your NPCs, assets that you might have. Say you've got a city block building in the middle here and you want your NPC to patrol the outside of it because it's the main objective for your player, then basically it's the same sort of principle. Right, so let's get started. You want to go to Editors, Spline Path Editor, create new path, name the path, 1 in this instance, select the path, add new node, click on your terrain 1, 2, 3, 4 times, and that creates our circular path. Right, now we've created our path. Now what we must do is click back on the plus icon. Otherwise, if you put an asset on the terrain and you go to click it to edit the properties, it'll add another node. Right. Spline resolution. Right, if I knock this down to 2, if you keep your eye on the actual path we've just created, you'll see what this does. See, it's not as smooth now. So what I do is I just leave that at 50, so it's really nice and smooth. You can change the line colour so you can see it on various backgrounds. We'll just leave it as black. And that's it to creating the path. Right, now we'll add a camera, so we'll right click on the terrain, camera, 2D fixed camera. We'll drag it up out of the terrain, move it across a bit, go to properties, camera, set the camera as the active camera, follow path properties, path name, we used 1. If you've got quite a few paths going and you forgot what it's called, you can go over to the left here on editor paths, path tac 1, and the 1 is the name. Right, we've got the option of use smooth spline. That's on as default, and what it does is between the nodes it will follow the path with a nice arc between the 2 nodes instead of hitting it and going straight across. It's very good option to have in here. Rotate on track keeps the camera facing forwards the way you're moving. If you turn it off, if you're coming down this way and your camera's facing the same way, as you get to this position here, your camera won't be looking ahead, it'll be looking down here to where I go. So we'll keep that on. The follow accuracy is how accurately do you want it to follow the path. Do you want it to veer off slightly either side of the path, or do you want it to follow the path quite rigidly? This is good for like alleyways. So you've got a building here and a building here and a tight alleyway with props down it, and you want your NPC combat units to patrol down an alleyway. Then obviously if you set it to a tight accuracy, then you're going to avoid hitting props and sides of buildings and stuff like that. Bit to animation. In this situation, it would with the camera would get keyframed on the timeline for every movement, every frame, so you know exactly where it's supposed to be, and that is where it's going to be. The follow move speed is set at 10, which is extremely slow, so we'll knock that up for 20 for this purpose of the tutorial. That's how fast the camera is going to move around the path. The follow rotation speed is how fast the camera tracks to keep facing forward. Right, so we'll press play because that's all there is to it. It might be a bit jerky because it's a new software I'm using, but as you can see, it's following the path quite nicely, and it'll keep on looping and looping and looping until you code it to say, like, you know, follow this this patrol point until you're dead type thing or whatever. Right, so the next thing we're going to look at is editor, spline path editor. Click on the path we've created, line path. Now this has a begin point and an end point. So your camera will track round the path. Say you've got a battlefield, you've got your guys here, AI controls shooting at the enemy over here, and you know your camera's flying over them while you're narrating. You know, this is what's happened, and you know, blah 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 blah. And it tracks around, and when it gets to the end, if you put a trigger box here, the trigger, and when the camera finishes its run and collides with the trigger, then you can get it to load the next scene, the next cutscene, the next level, you know, that sort of thing, which is it's a very useful and easy to use tool. Thank you.